Not showing up. That's weird. Anyway, let's get started. So we're going to go off with the disclaimers. So, copyrights. This YouTube video may contain copyright material in accordance with the fair use doctrine under U.S. copyright law. The content is intended for education, commentary, and criticism to further discussion and meaningful discourse. Disclaimer to YouTube: we do not sell firearms. Stiffler Manufacturing LLC is a veteran-owned business registered in the state of Arizona that has a physical brick-and-mortar workshop and online retail store. We sell products that are lawful in all 50 states and are not restricted by any federal law. We do not sell products on YouTube. Installation disclaimers for all of you out there. Slides or parts kits may require installation by a professional and qualified gunsmith. Consult a qualified gunsmith in your area for questions. We do not give build advice. Would love to. What's going on, Rebel Spirit Operations? Would absolutely love to. Oh, and here is the fun one, the Glock disclaimer. So any of you out there that get involved in dealing with aftermarket Glocks, this is a common disclaimer that you'll end up using too. This product is not manufactured, authorized, endorsed, or warranted by Glock. Glock does not warrant or represent that this product is compatible with Glock pistols. Glock is a federally registered trademark of Glock Incorporated and is one of many trademarks registered by Glock Incorporated and Glock, lots of letters because that's an incorporation in another country. Neither Stiffler Manufacturing nor this YouTube page are affiliated in any manner with or otherwise endorsed by Glock Incorporated or Glock, lots of letters. The use of Glock on this video is merely to advertise the sale of pistols, parts, components, or accessories that are compatible with the Glock. For genuine Glock Incorporated and Glock lots of letters products, go visit Glock. Hey, McMahon, what's going on? So there we go. I think we got all of our disclaimers out of the way. So today we are talking about the future of California and how that's going to relate to us as a business, what we may or may not end up doing. So for those of you unaware, California is trying to pass Assembly Bill 1127 for the 2025 to 2026 session to try and get future Glock pistol sales banned in California. California has already banned Gen 4s and Gen 5s, and they are primarily only allowed to have Gen 3s and lower because for some reason California thinks Gen 4 and Gen 5 is somehow worse. I don't know. But anyway, this 1127 that we've touched on before would ban all future Glock sales from FFLs or anything that they think could take a switch. So any pistol like that. Another one that's coming up is Senate Bill 704, which would turn barrels like this into FFL background check items. So, I don't, you can imagine that they're probably going to stamp barrels is the only way that they could make that happen. And since the barrels themselves would have to be registered to the specific build, yeah, that's going to be all kinds of fun for Californians. And how does that affect us? So, of course, we have barrels on our store, and we have complete slides like this one. We wouldn't be able to ship them to California unless it was through an FFL. So that's not really something we want to deal with, but maybe if we could find a few FFLs that we liked, we could do some kind of deal with them. But I doubt it. Okay, moving on to Senate Bill 452. It was signed in 2023, and this requires that all semi-automatic handguns sold in California have micro-stamping technology. So this is to laser etch a unique microscopic code into the firing pin and or the breech face of the firearm, which is then transferred to a spent cartridge when it is fired. So they are effectively like serializing your cartridges per shot. Will this effectively work? Will that etching wear down in time? I don't know. Probably. But that did pass in 2023. That was signed, and that goes into effect January 2028, assuming feasibility. The California Department of Justice is tasked with investigating the technical viability and setting performance standards beforehand, which means a lot of gun companies are probably just not going to ship to California, which is what California wants. They passed their Assembly Bill 28 back in 2023, which added firearms and ammunition taxes, and in 2025 they closed loopholes on that, which to avoid out-of-state dealers shipping ammunition and firearms to California to avoid the tax. So Californians have been getting hit with a tax for the last few years now that have really impacted firearms and ammunition sales, especially for lower income families. Thankfully, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled that California's ammunition background check law was unconstitutional. So, at least that's something. However, most recently, under Governor Gavin Newsom, California has passed their provision for a 28th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. They are calling for a constitutional convention of all the states to get together and pass the 28th Amendment. So the 28th Amendment would essentially, if it were passed, if they could actually get a majority of states to agree to pass this amendment to the Constitution, would require universal background checks across the entire country, would raise the minimum age for firearm purchases from 18 to 21, have a mandatory waiting period. Though the length has not been specified, they're advocating for 10 days between purchases. They would ban assault weapons, and though they don't have a definition of what assault weapons are, that's what they would say is ban assault weapons for civilian ownership. And they are talking about having a codified reintroduction of the federal assault weapons ban of the 90s, modeled after what their definitions are, which would include most semi-automatic rifles in the country. And they are advocating this and saying this, that this will protect Second Amendment rights and what they're calling common sense. As I imagine many of you disagree. So that's what's going on with that. What is the future of viability for us to California, or the firearms industry to California? I personally see firearms industries abandoning California. If certain rules and laws pass, we might stop shipping to California. So this strip slide is lawful to send to California if the law were to pass. A parts kit is lawful to send to California if the law were to pass. But this complete with the barrel is not. And then, of course, by 2028, Californians would have to, if they were to create that viability with the California DOJ, get firing pins that are micro-stamped, because we don't have slides that are micro-stamped, and we're not planning on making slides that are micro-stamped to come into line with what California is proposing. Yeah, we have no intention of doing that. So what do you all think? What's your comments, concerns? How do you feel about it? We'll go to the comments here in just a sec. Yes, they do have some sort of micro ability to do this, but gun manufacturers are resisting it because they'd have to change their processes. New York Gunner, or NY Gunner. It's not anybody here in New York. Absolutely, it's not. My family abandoned New York long ago for many reasons. So, yep, we understand. Brookside, what's going on, man? Glad you live in Texas. Heck yeah. However, as an Arizonan, I always like to mess with Texans because everything bigger in Texas, all guns in Texas. Up until the open carry Texas movement, Texans actually were not very pro gun. Texas did not have constitutional carry for the longest time. Common sense is you should be able to get anything you want out of a vending machine. Yeah, bring back gun vending machines. You know, I've heard of a few places that have candy, like bubblegum ball vending machines, but it dispenses ammo. I want something like that. That is insane, New York Gunner. How are they able to get around the NICS background check? Isn't that the federal requirement? I understand they're trying to do their own state stuff, but Omar, yes, get what you can while you can. Delta Team Tactical has a lot of barrels. There's a lot of companies that have barrels. Of course, if you're looking for some higher end stuff, I mean those are the cheap end barrels. You're going to spend 40 to 100. The higher end stuff, you're looking at 300 or more. Oh, right on, Omar. Thank you. That's insane. You know, it's funny. The anti-gun states. So you've got New York, Washington, California, New Jersey, Illinois. We actually sell quite a few slides too. There's people there that want that. It's just they are outnumbered by the people who live in those big cities. They're outnumbered by the breeders. That's insane that you're not doing a 4473 like the rest of us. That's wild. Oh, Brookside, go to sales at stifflermanufacturing.com. That's just nuts. But yep, this 28th amendment, it will fail. There are not a majority of states who agree with California, but California has put it down that this is what they want, this is what they believe in, and they are going to continue to try and restrict their citizens' right to the Second Amendment. Even when they lose in court, they will keep going. They are not going to stop wasting taxpayers' monies on lawsuits. It's just what California does. Oh yeah, by all means, we have a troubleshooting process we go through, but quite often, what you really need to do is disassemble, clean, inspect every part, reassemble, and check the ammunition you're using, because the vast majority of the time, the slide is just a carrier. So unless something up in here is out of spec, you're good. Which we go through the process multiple times with a set of calipers along with an OEM Glock slide to make sure we're in spec throughout the process. Because we've seen some of our partners, we've seen some of our peers and collaborators not go through and check things, and that's where bad stuff happens. Because tools wear down. And so you can catch it if you're doing all your checks. if you're checking specs every single week, you will catch when tools wear down, and you will catch these problems. But if you're not checking, if you're not doing it right, that's where people have problems. That's where people have had issues with Leo Precision or LFA or what's a good? I can't even say Rock Slide, because Rock Slide's issue is not so much that they're out of spec, it's that they're using some sort of inferior steel. I don't know what the steel is, but if they were in spec, that's not the problem. Their slides shouldn't crack like that. And I don't know if they could have fixed the issue. I don't know. Maybe Rock Slide has turned it around and fixed whatever issue that was, because we've gotten bad steel from our shippers. So it's possible to get a bad batch of steel. But we've caught it through testing and through machining. We caught that it was bad steel and we turned it back. And we were like, no, we're not using this. Send us the correct steel. We're shipping this back to you. Blue Jay, damn right. If I did live in some crappy state like that, I'd probably have, like, 10-shot revolver just to piss people off. I remember one of the good reasons for owning a Ruger SR-45 a few years back was because it had a 10-round magazine and it was in 45 ACP. And that angered some of the Californians. So they're like, well, look, we're following your magazine ban. 10 rounds, but it was 10 rounds of 45. Always worried about my state. The laws are good now, but it's a swing state. Yep. We are always one generation away from losing our rights every single time. It doesn't matter what the right is, your Second Amendment, your First Amendment, your Fourth Amendment. You are always one generation away from losing it. Always keep that pucker factor, my friends. Hey, Jared, what's going on? So California is, besides a host of other things, they're trying to make pistol barrels have background checks. They're trying to do, well, they are planning to do micro stamping on the breech face or the firing pin by 2028. And they are banning future sales of Glocks by 2026, 2027. And they are also looking to pass the 28th Amendment, which they want to call a constitutional convention, which would essentially restrict guns to the assault weapons ban of the 90s and make you have to be 21 and all kinds of stuff. Absolutely right, McMahon. So the theory is that by using micro-stamping technology on the breech face or on the firing pin, that they could then stamp every single either primer or the shell casing as it ejects. So then police could then tie that microstamp on the shell casing to that specific firearm. But the funny thing is that there's no requirement that slides be stamped with serial numbers or anything. To create a firearm, it has to be the frame. Well, and then the fire control group, that's a whole other discussion. Or fire control unit. Round file. Zanti, my man. I think I missed a comment. Hold on. Let's see here. So you're good to ship a barrel to the house? Yeah, I believe so. Unless there's a law we're not aware of. There are issues with threaded barrels to certain states. Unless you mean after California passes their thing. While it would be lawful in all the other states, if California passes their thing, we would have to ship to an FFL in California. Oh, Washington is absolutely next, probably New Jersey. Illinois for sure. I still make fun of a guy from New Jersey that I know because New Jersey police arrested a guy for having a flintlock pistol. Not like a replica, it was an actual antique flintlock pistol, like from the 17 or 1800s. Like, think of the Revolution, pour black powder in it, pour black powder in the pan, you know, jam the ball down in there, like a flintlock pistol. So California is trying to ban Glocks or any pistol that can accept a switch or certain aftermarket FRTs, G-flexes, binary triggers. But their main focus is the switch. And they're saying we want to ban the platform because of what people can do to it, not because of what it is, which is a dangerous precedent. Because they're saying we're going to ban you from doing something because you could do something, not that you did do something. And that's future thought crime. That's wrong. Oh yeah, ported barrels should be fine in New York as far as I'm aware. I believe they do have issues with threaded barrels, but I believe ported's fine. Because they don't want people attaching things like compensators or suppressors, which is why they have issues with threaded barrels or muzzle brakes or... So essentially what states like Washington, New York, and a handful of others, Maryland, Massachusetts, is they believe that if you attach a flash suppressor, a compensator, a muzzle brake, or a silencer slash suppressor, you have then turned your pistol or rifle into an assault weapon. The funny thing is, Europe, suppressors are completely legal. A lot of European countries have suppressors. The ones that do allow you to get guns, anyway. The funny thing is, if you have any sort of muzzle device that's integrated into the barrel, that's not removable, so not threaded, if you make a barrel that's already designed to have that device, then it's considered acceptable. It's the removability that makes it illegal in those states. Oh yeah, I've shot full auto. I used to be a saw gunner when I was in the Army for a little while, and I can tell you it requires a lot of training. Otherwise, you're just spraying and praying. Oh yeah, exactly, Xanti. They know what they're doing. The assault flintlock, yeah. Governor's scared, nobody will hear the shot. That's people who've never fired a suppressed weapon ever. Look, they still do make noise. It's not like the movies. See, that's the issue with future thought crime, Brookside, is no, they haven't banned lathes, but the lathe could do something. So now we need to license it and restrict it. And there needs to be extra taxes on lathes and drill presses. Yeah, for hearing protection. The sights, it'll come all installed with the complete slide. It'll have the barrel, it'll have the parts kit. The parts kits that we have, I don't believe no, they don't have sights with them. Eventually, we will sell sights individually, but right now we only have enough for our complete slides, and we only get small batches in. but they are Glock OEM sights, front and rear, and we'll eventually get more into, not necessarily add to the kit, but make us a separate purchase. The tinnitus struggle is real. Yep, I still get it once in a while. Little ee. Gotta love that little ear buzzing. Well, good morning, everybody. I hope you're all drinking water today. Stay hydrated. You can't move and groove if you're not hydrated. They have some really good ear pro out there. Electronic ear pro that's really good. Slammin' Coke. That's good or bad either way. Coke Zero. Vector the King, what's going on, man? Welcome to the chat. Hey, thank you for those likes, guys. Greatly appreciated. Getting closer to that 1100. So for those of you that are new to us, Stiffler Manufacturing, we turn bars of stainless steel into gun slides. Get down there, you. Like these that you see before you. We also do all of our own Cerakote work in-house. Wide variety of colors. Graphite black, sniper gray, battleship gray, tungsten, desert sand, Glock flak dark earth, burnt bronze, habanero red, USMC red, NRA blue, bright purple, mystique purple, all kinds of stuff. Arctic white, hunter orange, gold, shimmer aluminum, mil spec OD green, Jesse James green, all kinds of colors. Stencils we get from Tactical Penguin. Like this lightning stencil here, the camo, the tiger stripe. Tactical Penguin does all that. What do I prefer for beginners? So we're biased towards Glock, but I also like the Ruger SR series personally. But honestly, whatever fits best in your hand is what works best. So whether you end up with a Smith & Wesson or a Ruger or a Glock or a clone or whatever fits in your whatever fits best in your hand when you start, that's what's best for you. And then you can train to improve to accept other things. So like I can pick up a Glock or a SIG or a Smith & Wesson or a Ruger, and even without familiarization to it, I can generally put rounds on target. Because basic marksmanship is the same for all platforms. So that does not change just because the platform changes. Now, you can get better with that platform, improve yourself with that platform, but basic marksmanship translates across all platforms. It does require practice, and you can be more proficient with one platform over another platform. Some people find that they prefer certain firearms over others. So, start with what feels right and work yourself up. Oh, cool. We sold a slide. Baller. Where is this going off to? to California. What? Sweetness. Ew, taxes. There we go. Okay, got that. We'll print that out later. Just remember, the smaller the pistol, the more difficult to control. Yeah, usually that is the case. You'll feel more recoil because there's less platform to absorb it. The bigger the caliber, the more difficult to control. Can be, yeah. It depends on the platform. Like, for example, I've shot the M107, the Barrett 50 cal. I did not find that difficult to control at all. That is a beautiful platform. Absolutely wonderful. And I'd own one if I had 13 grand to spare. Plus the, $3 to $5 a round. Yeah, if I had that kind of money. Oh, I'd love it. Oh, why is my camera auto-focusing? Yoink. The Glock 19 has proved itself, but I fear I sound like one of them old men talking about the 1911 now when I say Glock 19. Yeah, I get what you mean by that, but I mean, there's a reason we chose the 19 to be one of our first slide models before moving on to others. It's still popular, and it still works. And that's why we make the 17. For those that need something just a little bigger. And we are working on the 26 and the 43 next. The 26 will probably come out first. We've got a possible buyer lined up. They want to hit up about 50 slides right as soon as we make them. Which would be pretty awesome. Though they do have the newer variants of the 19 and the 17 out now. The 45 is compatible with the 19. The 47 is compatible with the 17. Oh yeah, my favorite with the PSA, if you are going to go PSA, is the PSA Dagger full-size S. The compact is fine, but for those of you with bigger hands, the full-size S definitely fits better. It's got more of that 19X style feel. And I get why people might not like PSA, but if you do a little work and you do your build right, it'll run. It'll run just fine. My recommendation is take a look at the rails on your dagger frame and polish those up a bit. They usually come in some sort of black coating. Polish them till you can see the steel, till it's smooth, till you can run your thumbnail down it and not feel any drag or any catches. And you'll find a good marketable improvement in how it runs. Sometimes you just got to give it a little love. Not into all the colors. I like the black ones. That's cool, man. Everyone's got their own style. So we have a list of tactical colors: black, battleship gray, tungsten, flat dark earth, Jesse James green, mil-spec OD green, burnt bronze, desert sand. The Dremel is your friend. Yep. What's my favorite Glock series? Probably the 19. That's what I carry the most. I carry a Glock 19 OEM. I carry our own Stiffler clones. So this is one I carry, the SM19 Turbo. But I also like my Ruger SR. My Ruger SR9 is great. A little love and a smack on the backslide. Yeah. Tap, rack, bang, people. Learn tap, rack, bang. Yep, mine is, for my AR, it's in a coyote tan, desert tan kind of style. Of course, I live in Arizona, so having things desert themed just kind of makes sense. Hey, we just hit 80, right on. That's awesome. 1,080. Not for this video analytics. I want to go check out our regular analytics. Well, what about you guys? What's your go-to carry? So me, 19, the SR9. Occasionally I'll carry a 357. Bill Pool, right on, man. Matthew Beaver, I don't know. I just watched a guy blow up his piece due to tap rack bang. Do that behind it. Oh, yep. Yep. Okay, so there's also supposed to be an observe portion to tap rack bang. You do actually have to look. Tap, rack, observe, release slide, and then if good, bang. Or, you know, if not good, lock your slide to the rear and fix your issue. But, you know, in general concept, tap, rack, bang. That sucks that happened to him, though. But we've known a few people who've blown up their stuff. Usually other people's builds. Like, I knew a guy that cracked his LFA build. Who else? Who else blew something up? Someone blew up Rem Sport. What else got blown up? I knew someone who blew up a Leo. Knew someone who went cyclic on a Leo. That's not supposed to happen. 19X and 17 Gen 3, right on. Used to have desert tan, now I got that screen blue glow. Nice. We'll see if this Glock Store 26X has the height. Ricochet, Candy Apple. The Ecto Lube, or you have one that's colored in Candy Apple? All right, there we go to the analytics. And all right, 1082. That is awesome. It's not quite Candy Apple, but we do have one that's Green Mamba. And it's kind of like a neon green, zombie green. Oh, you mean Candy Apple Red, don't you? Not green. You mean Candy Apple Red, don't you? Nope, nothing quite like that. We do have Habanero Red. And we also have USMC Red. I'm just going to keep dropping that poker chip, I know. I was going to have 3 eggs for breakfast, but the first one pissed me off. Hey, man, first egg, first pancake, they're usually sacrificial. I don't want to sound like a fool or something, but first few mags in a new build, should I be wearing gloves? Probably not. I mean, it's good to train with gloves, because if you're using gloves and you can't shoot with gloves, that's a problem. Ah, there we go. Got some morning tea. Oh, thank you, Rick. Yep, we make all of these ourselves out of 17-4 stainless steel. We do all the Cerakote work ourselves, too. YTM Clutcher, yes and no. So, no, because we're Stiffler Manufacturing and we make the slides. Also, no, because they don't have the helmet. But yes, because Delta Team Tactical buys our slides. So, like the Viper here, the Zoom, the Turbo, Delta buys those. So, if you go on Delta Team Tactical and you type Stiffler in the bar, you'll see us. But I don't believe they picked up any hellets yet. Hey, no worries, man. Delta gets quite a few from us. We're happy to sell to them. We're happy to manufacture for them. We also send slides to Davidson, MMC Armory, The Hub, Serious Arms. There's other people that have our stuff too. I think 3CR Armory or 3CR Tactical, whatever that is. They have some of our slides. 3CR Tactical. Yep, they have some of our slides. Yep, we're a manufacturer, so we push our slides out to whoever will pick them up. DB, G19 Daily, no less. Right on, man. That's why we started with it. Just picked up a 17 Gen 4 PD trade-in for cheap. Right on. Do it. Michele, we are a slide manufacturer. We turn bars of stainless steel into gun slides for the Glock 19 and the Glock 17. Is there a break-in period on the complete slides? I think there's a break-in period on pretty much every platform, but like this one, for example, here is our raw 17 Viper. This is the first one we did. You can still see some of the carbon in there. So we took this to the range raw, and it ran flawlessly. But the break-in period also depends on your build. So how you build it determines your break-in. Yes, we do. Check out Stiffler Manufacturing. You can find us on Google, links in the description. We're easy to find. How much would one of the ported slides cost? What are we up to on the Viper now? 180? Let's see, for the 19s on the Viper. Oh, right, I forgot we reorganized the website. There we go. Yeah, 190. Nope, that's one of the specialized ones. 175. Yeah, so starting 175. And then for the turbo, on the non-specialty ones, 165 for the turbo. Hey, Tristan Spears, what's going on, man? Do you offer optic cuts on Glock slides? Not yet. Maybe sometime in the future. Currently, all of our slides come with an optic cut and an RMR plate. Cover plate. We use the Trijicon RMR flat optic cut. But we don't do aftermarket optic cuts for people yet. We need to get another machine to do that. If it's not under 350, don't buy that. Train in Gen 4. Make them lower the price. Eh. Yep, 120 to 200. So we start at 145 to, what, 210? Oh, hold on, guys. It looks like I'm getting a business phone call. Be right back. Okay, sorry about that. Got a business phone call. Someone decided to call us about some slides. So that happens from time to time. Okay, there we are. Let's see, what comments did I miss? Okay. Pistol slides, all we do? Yes, but we do also have barrels and parts kits on our site. What's an RMR cut on a 17 run? We don't do aftermarket RMR cuts. We have them on our slides, but we don't do them for other people. Not yet, anyway. We might do that in the future. On my way to try out the Leonidas, I'll let you know. Oh, awesome. Thank you. Love to see what you do with the Leonidas. There we are. Oh, looks like a tool broke at the shop. So I'm going to have to go off and deal with that. So if you guys got any final questions, feel free to ask. We mill all of our slides out of 17-4 stainless steel. A lot of our competitors do 416R. 416 is fine gun steel. A lot of barrels are made out of 416. Our barrels are made out of 416. But for the slide, 17-4 is definitely the way to go. It's stronger. It's more corrosion resistant. That said, it's also harder to work with. It'll break carbide end mills a lot easier than 416 will. But that just is what it is. Cost of making a better product. Okay, let's see. Got my key, that's my phone, got the other phone. It's supposed to be my day off. But if the tool breaks and nobody goes and fixes it, then the machine don't run. So, with that said, thank you for all joining us this morning at Stiffler Manufacturing, where we turn steel bars into slides. Right here in Arizona. We ship to all 50 states and the U.S. territories. Feel free to check out our website, check us out our social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, etc. On here on YouTube, obviously, and of course on Rumble as well. So thank you for joining us. Thanks for the likes. Thank you for the new subscribes. It's greatly appreciated. And as always, stay 2A every day.